Thank you, Cathaoirleach. Thank you, Minister. I'm here again on an issue that I did bring to the floor probably 12 months ago for Minister Rabbitte in relation to what provisions are made from the HSE or within the HSE in order to recruit staff with the educational sector. Is there consultation? Is there communication? Because we have home care support packages that are not being delivered. The hours are there, but the staff aren't. It's incredulous that when you actually contact the HSE, the service provider will say, yes, we can give you 21 hours, but we don't have anybody to deliver the care. I mean, I'm just going to read. I had to resort on the 10th of August to writing to the Minister. Dear Minister, I'm contacting you today with what I am sure you will agree are two very urgent and upsetting situations. For me, it is incredibly regrettable that I have to seek intervention directly from the Minister and your department in both these instances, as for me, such cases that I am representing today should be afforded the immediate delivery of approved hours without excuse or delay. I won't use the name, Cathaoirleach, it'll be initials. BW. BW has muscular dystrophy, is incapacitated and a full-time wheelchair user. B's full-time carer is presently in hospital recovering from major surgery, which has resulted in an emergency situation where BW is now in urgent need of assistance in her home place. BW cannot toilet herself, she cannot attend to her own personal hygiene or prepare any meals. She is presently assisted by her sisters, who are both unwell and unable to provide BW with the care she needs. Both BW herself and her sisters have attempted to engage with the PHN, as well as making direct contact with older person services, just to be fed with lame excuses and no resolutions. This lady is an urgent and emergency case which is being passed from one person to the next with zero interventions or solutions to providing approved care hours. That was on the 10th of August. Today is the 16th of September. We had it took 3 weeks, Cathaoirleach. The next one, PS, happens to be the initials. PS has a terminal diagnosis which is no longer receptive to treatment. All treatment has now stopped and PS is now seeking to return to her home for comfort measures. Only a referral has been made to the also a referral has been made to the palliative care team in Wexford to allow PS home. Home care hours are required to assist the family with PS's care. I am sure you will understand that time is not on the side of PS or her family, and they are now extremely anxious to get her home. This is an incredibly upsetting and traumatic situation for PS and her husband and family, who now simply want her home to spend what short time is left in the comfort and love of her own home and family. However, she is being denied returning to her own home as approved care hours cannot be delivered due to staff shortages. That's two. I can go on, Minister, but the reality is I have in almost treble digits now instances of where home care packages are not being delivered. The hours are there, the staff are not there to deliver them. Can somebody please tell me what's going on? Do we have the money? I sat with the HSE today on the Public Accounts Committee. They sat in front of the Public Accounts Committee, having spent 81 million, now spent is a very conservative word, 81 million on ventilators that we didn't receive, to the tune of 81 million. How many carers would it train and provide for the people of Ireland who have paid tax all their lives to try to get home to die in peace? Now, I want the question answered, and I don't want to have to come back on this floor again.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank the Deputy for raising this issue, and I understand it is a very, very complex issue, and I know myself we're trying to get carers as well, and it is an issue. It is a key priority for the Government to enable more people to engage in services that allow them to remain independent and live in their own homes with dignity and independence for as long as possible. To advance this, the Government is committed to establishing a new statutory scheme on the financing and regulations of home supports. In July, Minister for Health and Older People, Mary Butler, announced the selection of 4 sites for a new home support pilot. This pilot will deliver an additional 230,000 hours of home support over a 6-month period and will test a reformed model of service delivery for home support. The 4 community health network sites selected for the pilot are Tuam, Athenry, Loughrea, Bandon, Kinsale, Carrigaline, Ballyfermot, Palmerston and East Westmeath. This pilot will underpin the development of the statutory scheme for home support services. A national home support office will also be established to support the testing of the reformed model of service delivery. In addition, approximately 130 posts have been funded for the national rollout of the Inter-RAI Ireland system, which the home support pilot will test as a standard assessment tool for care needs. In parallel, work is ongoing by the Department to make progress with other aspects of the scheme, including the development of a regulatory framework and examination of options for the financing model. While this new home support scheme is under development, the Government is prioritising improving access to home support services. An additional €150 million was made available in home support for older people in Budget 2021, and the National Service Plan set a target to provide 24 million hours of home support. This is an ambitious target, and to increase provision by 5 million hours, or more than 25% above the 2020 target. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to unprecedented challenges across our health services, and none more than in older person services. While there has been challenges in delivery of home support hours, particularly during the third wave of the pandemic, significant progress has also been made. Preliminary data indicates that at the end of July 2021, over 11.4 million home support hours have been provided to 53,732 people. This means that 1.5 million more hours have been provided compared to the same period in 2020, and the number of people waiting for approval of funding for the new or additional services has greatly reduced. The Department and HSE and Minister Butler are committed to ensuring that we continue to allocate additional home support hours where they will be most effective coming into the winter period. There has been a sustained focus in recent years on reducing delayed transfers of care and enabling patients to be discharged from hospital sooner. And as of 14 September, there were 468 delayed cases of transfer. There were 93 people categorised as waiting for a home support services, of which 57 people were approved for funding and were waiting for care availability. The HSE will continue to work towards increasing home support provision. However, challenges do remain in relation to capacity, and efforts are ongoing to recruit staff across both direct and indirect provision. The Department of Health is also committed to working across government and with relevant stakeholders to ameliorate those issues, and the programme government committed to establishing a workforce planning expert unit to work with the education sectors, regulators and professional bodies to improve the availability of health professionals and reform their training to support integrated care across the health services. I take on board the letter that you wrote regarding, or was written to you regarding BWMPS and the sisters. It is harrowing, and I hope that we will be able to address those issues in the coming weeks and months. But there is an issue with retaining staff and also recruiting staff.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. Thank you, Minister. But I have to say, it's more spin. You know, I'm of the opinion that this government is going to spin itself out of existence. Everything you have quoted there, there's not a word of delivery. There's no delivery in what you've said. And you talk about challenges. The challenge here seems to be to rein the HSE in some shape or form, that we can spend money where it's required. We can't accept that 81 million just got thrown into the atmosphere without any cognizance of what that means to people's health. It means that we do not recruit healthcare workers and pay them appropriately so that they're enticed into the sector. I can't have departments deciding whether a 73-year-old man who ends up paraplegic as a result of an accident is an older person or a disability. Because that's what happened when I wrote to the department. One came back and said, it's not their department, it's the other department. And that took another week. Just for things like that to be ascertained, it is outrageous. I'm sorry, Minister, to be going off on one here, but this is deeply frustrating for families in very vulnerable positions. The trauma of having their 73-year-old husband and father turned to a paraplegic as a result of an accident and not being able to be taken home from hospital for the want of Ceann Comhairle, Cathaoirleach, 45 minutes, 2 carers, 45 minutes in the morning and 2 carers 45 minutes in the evening. Does that sound like too much to ask for a 73-year-old farmer who paid his tax all his life, whose wife wants to be the primary carer to take him home and deliver the care he deserves? And no, the coordinator says 45 minutes, 1 carer, once a day, 5 days a week, not 7, 5. Leave you to your own devices for the other 2. Even though his wife is also 73 years of age. And this can't go on. This is why I'm so against what is going on here for the last 8 weeks that we voted on last night. The real work that needs to be done is just going unnoticed.
Thank you, on Tara, to conclude.
And I take on board what you said. I will bring back to the Minister exactly your views, and the government did make improved access to home support services a priority, and last year we did provide 150 million for these services, and the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of supporting the most vulnerable people in society be cared for in their own homes for as long as possible, and it is of the utmost importance that all individuals accessing home support are provided with a high quality level of care which is safe and person-centred. The progress of the statutory home support scheme is a key enabler to providing more alternatives to nursing home care and a wider opportunity for people to live fuller, more independent lives. And the scheme will provide for the financing and regulation of home support services in order to provide equitable access to high-quality services based on a person's assessed care needs. The system of regulation will ensure public confidence in the services provided, as well as safeguarding service users. It is an issue that this sector probably needs a lot more pay. Pay increase of that will be part of the budget, part of the Minister, but it is very, very difficult to attract people into the sector, and it probably needs more of an reimbursement of pay, because the funding is there, but and I hope that all the stakeholders will be able to work to try to attract, because it's a very difficult job, but also to me it's necessary to keep people in their own homes away from the frontline services. But the Department of Health is examining the potential demand and costs of introducing this scheme, and following the work will be undertaken to examine the associated workforce requirements for the introduction of such a scheme. And I understand officials from the Department will engage with all the relevant stakeholders and other sectors required, because it is an issue. It's an issue that, as politicians across the country, we're hearing and we need to address it.